everyone, and welcome to another edition of Proline. And this time we'll be focusing on the colleges with a couple of really great games to look at. Again, if you're looking at the NFL version of Proline, we do one of those each week, so make sure and check that out for some solid opinions on a couple of this weekend's pro football games. But we've got the guys here. Sean Hess is with us as a special guest this week. Really have enjoyed catching up with Sean, one of the best trend guys that you'll find in the business, current trends as opposed to backloaded trends. And, of course, Jim Feist. I'm Dave Koken. We'll hear from Jeff Saad, our man of the street, in a little bit. Guys, going to be fun this weekend. It's been fun so far this year for all of us. Jeff Saad, I want to quickly mention LVSS on a roll. 5-1-1 his weekend in college football last weekend. And he's got a 5-week special that runs till the end of October. That's NFL in college for only $29. Give Jeff a call and sign up early. Get a free football release as a bonus tonight. The number is 1-866-575-8916. That's 1-866-575-8916. Myself, last weekend was my first, and it was a very small loss actually, but it was my first losing weekend of the football season. The prior weeks have been outstanding, and I wasn't going to win all 16 weeks. I can guarantee you that. Okay, nobody does. Going to look to get right back on it this week, and I like the schedule a lot more this week. Listen, it was a crazy week last week. It's not an excuse, but it's the only time I can ever remember where on the entire college board, even factoring in the added games, there were only 2 underdogs who won outright. I have never seen that happen in 30-something years of doing this. It was 55-2 the favorites went. Now, they didn't all cover, but the favorites did cover roughly, I think, 60-65% of the games. Favorites do that well. It's probably not going to be a great weekend for me. Watch the quick turnaround. This is going to be a good underdog weekend. Moneyline dogs in particular. You want to get on some of those. Now, I've got a good offer for my under-the-hat plays in college and pro football from now right through the end of October. All my under-the-hat plays, 5 weeks, plus a bonus college super total of the month going on Saturday, and another window play on Saturday. That's my $500 online play. That's going to be included as well. The whole thing, $49. Get in now. 1-866-896-1629. That's 1-866-896-1629. Jim, well, these numbers, they're scary good. They're scary good. You always do this in NFL totals. So, I mean, there's certainly no surprise there. It's not a surprise at the college end either. But the way it's been happening, I mean, these are blowout wins you've been getting. So it's not even like you're winning the coin flips. You're winning by convincing margins.
It's been a great run, Dave. Thank you for mentioning that. 22-9 in football. That's since the beginning of preseason. Well, actually, that's the last 2 weeks. 6-1 on Saturday. My college football non-conference game of the year, Maryland crushed West Virginia. September game of the month, Wisconsin crushed Purdue. And a tough Sunday. I did lose a little bit on Sunday, which was the first losing pro day that I've had since the beginning of preseason. Bounced back on Monday with a big winner on the total and the Raiders Broncos over. I've got a huge weekend coming up, though. I got 5 big plays coming up. That's 2 college conference games of the year, plus the AFC total of the month, NFL TV game of the month, and a bonus play. And as Dave mentioned, I've been red hot in the totals as well. Each play would cost you $100 online, but you can have all 5 plays for $39. And there's a guarantee that goes with it. If I don't go 4-1 or 5-0, you get the rest. You get all of October absolutely free. Make sure you make the call, 1-866-841-1655. 5 big plays, 4-1 guarantee, or 5-0, or you get October for free. That's 1-866-841-1655.
All right, and quickly, before we get to Oklahoma and Notre Dame, Jim and myself can both send you free plays every day via text message, right direct to your cell phone. To get Jim's, just text WINNER, WINNER, to 313131. To get mine, just text Koken, COKIN, to 313131. It's that easy. You get 2 free plays each and every day via text message, and I think you can rely on these free plays to make you some money, too. They've been doing very well. Okay, let's look at Oklahoma and Notre Dame. Sean, we've had you out of the conversation here, but let's get you into it. This is an obvious revenge spot for the Sooners. Last year they were, it was close to the scoreboard, but they got dominated in that football game by Notre Dame. And in the fourth quarter, it really became kind of ridiculous to watch. I mean, Oklahoma was completely baffled by what Brian Kelly threw at him. And Notre Dame goes into Norman, Oklahoma, and gets the win. The Sooners have to have this one circled. They're going to the South Bend, and they do want revenge. Revenge is overrated, but I think it's pretty big in this game.
I'm going to throw one trivia thing out to you, Dave. Jim, too. Who was Dick Lynch? That's how far back the history of this matchup go. Who was Dick Lynch?
Former New York Giant.
Jim? 1957, when Oklahoma had that 47-game winning streak,
7-0, right?
Probably 7-0. Dick Lynch scored the touchdown late in the fourth quarter. Great game. And, in fact, a lot of things people don't know is when the 47-game winning streak started, it was Notre Dame that beat them when that started. In other words, the last loss they had was Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame beat them again 47 games later. By the way, I was in the Army then in basic training. That's how far back that goes. And both times those wins by
Sean, I was too young to remember that game.
I was only 4 years old.
I was in the snow. I was in the snow in Fort Dix. Anyway, to bring it up, for some reason, you're right, and Dave brought this up. We were talking about it off the show. The Notre Dame seems to have traditionally had this team number, but the fact is, how many times are you going to catch Oklahoma in such a short point spread range? I tend to think they do get the revenge. I agree that revenge is not as big as it used to be, but in college football, it still carries some weight. I think Oklahoma is the better team on both sides of the football. I'm going to lay the 3.5.
So I agree with what you just said. I think Oklahoma is the better football, particularly better on offense. Defense could be pretty close. I think Notre Dame's defense is pretty good. I got to tell you, though, and this is an opinion that I've had for several years, and people look at me strangely when I say it. But I'm sticking with it, and quite honestly, the results in big games bear me out. I don't think Bob Stoops is that good. I think he's a really average college football coach. And he doesn't do well in big games. Brian Kelly, look, forget the Alabama game. They had no business being on the field in Alabama in that title game last year. This guy, you look at him in close games, and it's particularly last season. I know people can sit here and say, well, Notre Dame was lucky to be unbeaten going into that bowl game. Look at how many, they stole the win against Stanford. They stole the win against Pittsburgh. Yeah, but they keep on finding ways to win close games, and Brian Kelly's done this his whole career. If this game's close in the fourth quarter, Brian Kelly's going to find a way to beat Stoops. I'm firmly convinced of that.
Part of the reason, too, Dave, for me, is I watched the Purdue game, and I thought Purdue was a better team on the field. They were double digits to Notre Dame. They were lucky to win the game. I'm going to stay with that.
I have
Oklahoma thing.
No disagreement on that. I think Oklahoma absolutely has the better personnel than Notre Dame. I don't think there's any question, but particularly with the quarterback out. Reese is a game manager. He's nowhere near Golson, who couldn't go to school evidently, and he's got bounced. But I would love to take Oklahoma here because the revenge angle's there, and I know they're a better football team in terms of talent. My misgivings with this game are on the sidelines and who comes up with a way to win the game and who comes up with a way to lose the game. And I'm telling you, if this is a field goal game, either way in the fourth quarter, I'm going to probably get involved in live betting at that point and take Notre Dame because they'll find a way to win the game and Stoops will find a way to lose the game. Jim, is that...
Well, I'm not a big fan of Oklahoma. I think they're a very disappointing team at many times. And Notre Dame seems to, and plus the game is in Notre Dame, and there seems to be I'm not going to just, there's been some calls in some of these games that they, at a lot of, okay, so, I mean, the luck of the Irish, let's leave it at that.
The Green Gremlins, Jim? The Green Gremlins?
The Green Gremlins. And they all have whistles. You notice they all walk around with whistles? Those little gremlins? But explain to me, I mean, we know West Virginia, and I took advantage of West Virginia's very poor team last week, and I bet against them pretty heavily. Oklahoma, they won at home 16-7 against this team. That was at home. Now, please explain to me how you can play that type of game and then be favored on the road at Notre Dame, which is a very difficult place to play, against a coach that knows how to coach. Now, I'm not saying they're a better team, but a lot of times the better team is just not well prepared, well coached. They don't perform. And I don't see this. I'd have to go with the Irish here.
By the way, a couple of quick numbers on totals. Last 35 non-conference games for Notre Dame, 25-9-1 to the under. Under 22-7. Last Fighting Irish, 29 home games. Under 21-6-1. The last 28 times they faced a team with a winning record. Now, Brian Kelly came to Notre Dame with a reputation as an offensive wizard. Turned out he's pretty good on the defensive side as well. I'm going to go with you, Jim. I think I'm going to side with Notre Dame. And even though I can tell you I will not play the game, I will not bet this game on Saturday unless, like I said, I do live betting in the fourth quarter because I think there might be something to be had there. All right, before we look at Wisconsin and Ohio State, ooh, that should be fun. Let's go to our man in the street. That is Jeff Saad. He's from Las Vegas Sports Services, and Jeff has a free play.
Thanks, guys. Got a free pick coming up in the NFL, but it's week 4 of the NFL campaign, and I've got a blockbuster special. Play all of October and the last week of September for $29. That's college plus the NFL, and includes a TV winner tonight. And my first college conference game of the year on Saturday. Just call LVSS at 1-866-575-8916. Free play comes to the NFL on Sunday as the Jets and Titans meet in Tennessee. This is the middle of a 3-game homestand for the Titans, a team that is not explosive on offense with a young, erratic quarterback preferring to run the football. They take on a Jets team that's even worse quarterback play and is ultra conservative on offense under new offensive coordinator Marty Morningweg. The Jets are on a 6-2 run under the total, including 4-1 under against the AFC. This looks like a boring battle with more field goals and touchdowns. Play the Jets and Titans to stay under the total. Once again, get my blockbuster special. Play all of October and the last week of September for only $29. That's college plus the NFL, and includes a TV winner tonight with my first college conference game of the year on Saturday. Call LVSS at 1-866-575-8916.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, and have another great weekend. Let's go to Wisconsin and Notre Dame. Wisconsin and Ohio State. In Columbus, big battle. Wisconsin really should be 3-0. Should be 4-0, actually. They kind of got screwed at Arizona State on some, we'll just call it questionable officiating at the end of that game. Of course, you can also say that they screwed themselves by running a play they didn't have to run and creating the whole situation. But they're good, and I like Gary Anderson a lot. He did a great job at Utah State last year and has not missed a beat with Wisconsin. Wisconsin's more fun to watch now than they were in the Bielema, too. More wide-open team. Ohio State, though, they're big, they're good. They're good. They're 3-0, which is certainly no surprise. Urban Meyer's a great football coach. I know a lot of people don't like him, but this guy can flat-out coach. There's nobody out there who's going to come up with a better game plan than Urban Meyer. I think it's going to be a really good game to watch in Big Ten country this weekend.
So what's the story, Dave? We're going to have the two-headed quarterback for Ohio State. Who's going to be the starter? They're going to go with the guy who's been playing. They're going to play the starter who's supposed to be starting. What do you think?
Hey, Miller.
That's another problem.
You can't lose your. And look, I mean, the team they played last week was a joke. I'm not knocking Guyton. I mean, this kid's a terrific talent. But no, Braxton Miller he's going to be ready to play on Saturday, and he is going to play on Saturday.
Okay, last year everybody knows about Ohio State. They were not eligible for the bowl, and they swept the board, all this other kind of thing. But this is the benchmark game for them. Yep. And Wisconsin the same way. I think we're talking about two pretty evenly matched teams. I didn't like the way the defense played against Arizona State. I don't know about the referee calls. In this business, you have to deal with that on both sides of the football. But if there is a value play out there, and this is a marquee matchup that had all that TV exposure, I'm going to say go ahead and take the point with Wisconsin.
Ohio State, I like this quote from Urban Meyer. We have a saying, a team that refuses to be beat won't be beat somehow, some way. And, this guy's won everywhere he's gone, and he's won not always with great football teams. I think he's, once he gets the talent in there, jeez. But you go back to Bowling Green days, this guy finds a way to win football games. He did it at Bowling Green. He did it at Utah. He was fantastic at Utah. They probably should have had a chance to play for a national title one year where they were unbeaten under him, but because of the system being the way it is, they basically got screwed.
Didn't they win a bowl game over Alabama big?
They crushed Alabama in the Sugar Bowl, I believe it was, and then we heard excuses that Alabama wasn't up for the game. Okay, you get beat by that.
I think they were a 10-point underdog.
They were, and I had Utah on the money line, so it was one of my more favorite games over the years. Yes, I do remember that. I remember the bad beats, but I also remember some of the good wins. Wisconsin, I'm going to have to. This is a huge step up for Wisconsin. Okay, and you just mentioned it, Sean. Benchmark or hallmark or whatever word you used. It is. This is a big statement game, the first real statement game I think they've had under Urban Meyer, because they're eligible to do all those good things this year, get to the big game, and they're going to be tough to beat, particularly if they win this football game. Arizona State, the Wisconsin-Arizona State game, look, even though Wisconsin, you can say they got robbed, they had their problems in that game. And Arizona State, we kind of saw last week. I know they fought back and made it respectable against Stanford. They were wildly outplayed in that football game. I think there's a class difference here. I think Ohio State's a little better football team, and they're 16-0 since Urban Meyer arrived. Are there certain coaches, and just leaving this game out of the mix, but are there certain coaches that you just will not play against because they find ways to win games?
Well, yeah, especially, I always look at a coach and how he prepares his team in different situations, how they do on the road, how they do at home, how they do as a favorite, how they do as an underdog. It's not only the physical blocking, tackling stuff, it's also the emotional issue of taking a team. Let's say, I'll give you an example. You take a coach that can find a way to get his kids motivated for a non-conference game, after a conference game, and before a conference game. So it's a sandwich situation. Yeah. Some coaches can get into the kid's head that game is still important. Many coaches cannot do that, more so than not, cannot do that. And they're great bet against teams, especially if they're favored. So I look for things like that across the board, pro and college, because not every coach is born equal. They're all different. There's good quarterbacks, there's good wide receivers, there's good coaches, there's a lot of guys that
can I quote
anytime, John, you have free reign. Quote anything you want.
I want to quote that.
So, are you referring to yourself? Is that what you're trying to do?
You can't hurt me, Jim, but I love it. It's very simple, and all coaches are not born equal.
So anyway, that would be. I look at it that way. Everybody's got different talents, and I try to look for those holes.
Well, Jim, let's run right to the best bets here, and let's get yours in there first, and again let people know about a really good offer this weekend. A chance to hop on a bandwagon that's been on a huge roll since the start of the preseason.
I'm going to take Notre Dame as a home underdog against Oklahoma. I think I have a coaching edge. Oklahoma's been a disappointing team for many, many years in spots like this, and Notre Dame is not an easy place to go and play. I think that I see a lot of early money coming in, open 2.5 up to 3.5. I see 3.5. Sometimes like minus 0.8 and stuff, minus 0.5. So I like Notre Dame in this spot. You might even make a money line bet at plus 155. And because they might cover it, but you get 155, get 1.5 to 1 on your money. They'll probably win the game straight up. If they play well, they'll probably end up finding a way to win it. As far as an offer, I have 5 big games going this week. $39. Just call 1-866-841-1655. That's 1-866-841-1655, and you get a 4-1 guarantee or 5-0. Or you get the rest of all of October absolutely free. That's 5 big games in college and in pro. You get a 4-1 guarantee or 5-0. It's only $39. Call 1-866-841-1655. And as Dave mentioned earlier, we do have free plays right to your cell phone. Just text WINNER to 313131. We'll send you a free play every day right to your phone.
Best bet of the games we talked about on the show. I guess I'm going to side with you, Jim. It's not a play. I can pretty much guarantee it won't be on my ticket on Saturday. So it's not, this is not some game you run to the window with. But I think Notre Dame's going to find a way to get past Oklahoma. So I like the underdog in that game. You can get my free play every day via text message by texting Kokin, C-O-K-I-N, to 313131, and get all my under the hat plays for the next 5 weeks right through the end of October for $49. That's under the hat plays in both colleges and the NFL. I've been putting these games out for over 3 decades. It's nothing new. They just win, that's all. And you want to get some of that, get in on this. $49 for 5 weeks, plus 2 big bonus plays, the college football super total of the month on Saturday, plus a window play on Saturday. That'll be one of my biggest plays, $500 value online. You're going to get that included as part of this package. The number to call, 1-866-896-1629. That's 1-866-896-1629. Sean, how about a best bet? You have nothing to sell, but Sean always has a best bet and a good opinion. Got one?
You know something, and you guys probably know this as well as I do. One of the drawbacks in this business is you have to deal with games that are marquee matchups, like that Alabama-Texas A&M game, the Ohio State-Wisconsin game, because that's what people want to talk about. TV games, that kind of stuff, everything that's called high profile. But the fact is, in this business, and Dave, you alluded to it already, some of these big favorites that no one's talking about, these extra board games, we never talk about that. 2 weeks ago, and guys laughed at me, I laid 40 points with Utah State. They won by 70. Last week, I laid 30.5 with Washington State. They won by 42. Now, I got a trend going this year. This year, everything I do is this year. There's an 8-0 trend already this year. It has to do with the line differences from 1 week to the next, like teams that are big favorites, maybe a short dog the next week, that kind of thing. People laugh at me about this, but it's 8-0 already. They're all been by blowouts, and it fits one already. Tennessee at home against South Alabama. I laid the 20. I should have done some better line chopping, and you have to do that in this business because I think, Jim, the line opened up at 18.5. Does that sound right? And it will probably go to 21 before it's over with, or maybe more. But my best play of the week is it's a boring, dull game. Nobody cares about that game. But I'm in this business to try and survive and pay my light bill. In my opinion, the best game in college football this week is that big favorite, Tennessee at home, minus 20 against South Alabama.
It's only a boring game if you're losing it. Okay. Other than that, if you get a bet, if you get a bet on a game and it's going well, it's not boring at all. You'll replay that and say, yeah, that's it. Let's keep it going, guys. All right. Well, that's it for this edition of Proline. Don't forget the NFL version is online as well here at JimFeist.com. So make sure and watch that. Sean S., whoever's texting me, good to see you, Sean. Jim Feist, it's always a pleasure to see you. Let's go knock 'em dead this weekend. Also, thanks to Jeff Saad and John Cranton behind the scenes here at the office. I'm Dave Koch, and thanks a lot for watching. Have a great weekend.